What evil lurks in the dark? A question we have all asked ourselves many times. Together, we can start uncovering the truth and mystery behind the darker side of the otherworldly. And now your host of See You in the Dark, Michelle Roos.
Good evening to you all, and welcome to another episode of See You in the Dark. A while back, I had just went through a little bit of, I don't even know if it was a journey or what path we were on, but I remember we were talking about a trip that we took, went to Indiana, decided we're going to do a whole weekend of just jumping into different places, locations to kind of see what's out there. And we did it all during the day. So when we are talking about demons or giving names to demons, we also discussed, are the demons actually giving their names now? But we're all put in this box of, oh my God, we can't get a name of a demon because if it's not a priest getting the name when they're doing an exorcism, it cannot be true. Well, when we did this, it started really messing with myself and some others, and the special guest that I'm bringing on tonight. She has got many years in the paranormal field. She's very beautiful. And you know where I'm going with this because she's also my daughter. She is a Army veteran, and she has done a lot for the paranormal field. And having her and some other folks of the team doing this is one that we're still scratching our heads. So before we get started with the story, I would love for everyone to meet my beautiful daughter, the paranormal expertise, Brittney Bickett. Welcome, Brittney.
Well, hey, Mama Bear.
So, the night that we had to reschedule you because you had your migraine, which she had a horrible one, guys. I kind of went and took everybody on our little journey, just a little bit, just kind of going into, the one thing we always talk about is the whole thing about demons. We give so much credit to them, but are they really out there? And because we're always taught a certain way, that, we kind of maybe miss some of these signs. And maybe this is why we're starting to have more negative energy coming around us than what we had before. And, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I'm going to have to agree with you on that. And I think, too, it's just like the state that our world is in as a whole. It's unleashing nothing but negativity, you know? And I think now that these demons or whatever you want to call them are finally like, okay, now is our time. It's time to, show the world that we've been here. Because there's not as many people that are, praising whatever God that they believe in and really showing that positivity. And they don't have a lot to latch on to. It's just a lot of negativity anymore. Um, and I think that's why that they're able to come across this veil a little easier now.
Yeah, and see, we had a discussion and we were talking about it, because I've caught myself on our trip because we were getting a name and something was going on. I was kind of overthinking it. Are we really getting a name? Or is it something that's messing with us? Have we grabbed something that's out there and it's messing with us, and that's why we're getting a name? And so, for the listeners to understand this, I want you to start, if you could, starting our trip, which was what, Blackford County Jail, correct, in Indiana?
Yes, that was a Friday night because we held an event there for my Indiana chapter.
Okay. Um, it started off slow, but then we started getting some weird things happening, just some certain things happening and a lot of, shadow figures. But here's the part that I told everybody a little bit about, and I'll let you kind of, fill in those blanks too, of the two gentlemen that were walking down the street with a 3-year-old.
Yeah, it was that was probably one of the weirdest things, and I've experienced a lot of freaking weird things in the field.
Yeah.
But that was weird because I honestly at first didn't know if they were alive or not
Yes.
because it is what, almost midnight, and
Yes.
we're just sitting outside taking a break, sitting on the stairs, collecting ourselves, and then these two men start walking down with this little bitty child. Yeah, two or three. I think he said he was three.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then he was just like, "Oh, there's a lady with black eyes and she's evil, but you're protected by light," and like all this weird. And I'm like, what is happening?
Well, and that was, listening to this 3-year-old talk like this. I mean, he sounded like an adult, but he had these karate chop hand motions, and he was so adamant and like in our face with it.
He was like, "You need to be protected. You got to stay safe. I will protect you with my karate moves." And there was something else that I can't remember. He said that he does that protects him when he sleeps
He
in
kills all
bed.
the werewolves, I
Yes,
think it
that's
is.
what it is.
Yes.
Yes.
And and then of course, our friend Melissa comes out, and she's the one that actually helps run that jail. And the little boy sat next to her and says, "I remember you when I was sick and you took care of me."
Yeah. Yeah, and like that blew Melissa away because she remembered him. And so the story with that is apparently when he was like 1 or 2, he got really, really ill. And somehow Melissa showed up in his dreams and took care of her. And mind you, they have never seen or met one another a day in their life until that night when we're all sitting outside. And they just clicked, and like they were both like, Melissa was crying and this kid was just like, "Yes, you were like my angel, you took care of me." And she's like, "I remember that." And she was like explaining like what his room looked like and everything. I was like, what is happening? It was crazy.
Now, remind you guys, just try to picture this sitting out on some steps at a location, just trying to talk amongst ourselves what was kind of happening inside. You have a 3-year-old that's coming and telling us all this stuff and then makes a connection with someone else. These people did not know us from Adam. And, have you guys, you think about it. What was that movie called with all the kids that had the blonde hair and the black eyes? That's what this kid reminded me of. It was like just showed up out of nowhere and was starting to give us messages. Now, mind you, we all had to sleep there. And I wasn't one to go and sleep in one of the I don't like sleeping at the locations, and then, of course, we took the bed upstairs, and like I said, there was a lot of different types of shadows and things, and I remember Melissa saying, "There's some weird things going on here that I'm not used to." And I couldn't get that little boy out of my head. Now, remember this part of the story because now we're jumping into the next day. We go to a coffee shop. Best coffee and biscuits and gravy, of course.
Are we
Really,
allowed to throw the name out?
absolutely throw it out there.
Deja Brew. So if you're ever at like the Monroe House or Blackford County Jail or the Speakeasy there, you need to go go have coffee at Deja Brew. Only
Yes,
place to go.
Gordon is amazing. So we're sitting there having coffee, and Melissa comes. Now she came from, because she was going to spend the day with us. She's the one that was going to be like our tour guide. And for some reason, I'm not sure what Gordon puts in his coffee, but it was like all, I would say hell broke loose because everybody started talking about all their past trauma. Everything was opened up. There was tears, there was snot, there was all sorts of things. And it was almost like we all went through some kind of cleansing. I'm not sure. Um, but it was just an odd place for us to be because then it started feeling like we're not really there.
Yeah, I really felt like I was in a different realm. It was weird. And I've never experienced that again. We've experienced a lot of different weird things, right? Because that's what the
Mhm.
paranormal is. But I've never have to this extent where I felt like we were on a different planet and we were the only people there in deja brew. And the way like Gordon was talking to us, like he stares through your soul. Like I'm pretty sure he's a another being in a good
Yes.
way.
Yes.
In a
Yes.
good way, but he's not. I don't believe that he's fully human. Silly as
You
that sounds.
no, I have to agree, and you guys have to remember, like myself, Brittany's the same way. A lot of people on the team are that way. We all grew up, when you speak to someone, you make eye contact, you have a conversation. But in the midst of his conversation with us, I was having trouble keeping eye contact with him, almost like it was very hypnotic, and it was just like, "Oh my god, he is about to just pull every piece of my soul out and just, wings are gonna grow." So, when we left Deja Brew, then we headed over to, uh,
Randolph.
Randolph. Okay, I'm gonna let you tell the story a little bit about what was going on at Randolph.
Okay, so with our friend Melissa, so she helps run all the locations that Dan and Richard Allen own. So Blackford County Jail, Randolph County Infirmary, Jim Jones Church, Stone Mansion, the Speakeasy, and a whole bunch of other ones here in Indiana. Um, And so, she's like, come on, I can get you guys in. So we had all day to kill because that evening we had another event for my Indiana chapter at the Monroe House. So we had all day to waste, right? So we went and spent a couple hours at Randolph. It was really strange, and it didn't. I don't know, like if really anything for me stood out too much until the end, Mom, when you and I went back alone.
Yeah.
Um, and then that's when we started getting a certain name and
Mhm.
it didn't make sense to us. And I was just like, okay, this is just gibberish. Maybe equipment is trying to like calibrate because that's what it does. I don't understand. And then we were getting more of a picture about a patient that was there that is not in history, like written down, but people do know about it. I mean, so I don't
Yeah.
know.
Well, and the crazy thing was, I when we started in the kitchen and we started feeling something really starting to wanna push towards us. But everything that was coming over, all of the equipment was, what was it? Watch yourself. We're here to protect. It's just little weird things like that. And it was kind of like, how does this fit in the equation? Because it didn't make sense at that point. But
Yeah,
it
and
was
when we
repeating.
Yeah,
Go
and
ahead.
we hear that a lot when we investigate, like I'm protection or, protect yourself and, stay safe. And you hear that, but not as often. It was like almost every response that came through on everybody's stuff. Like it was finishing sentences amongst everyone's equipment. But the
Mhm.
main message was like, you need to stay safe, you need to protect yourself. And so we really didn't think anything of it until at least for me, it was when we were alone at the end.
Yes, the end really got me because it came out full force. Um, there was so much anger in that room because of, the things that were said. But then just before we left, it says, keep eyes open, watch yourself. So as we did that, we didn't realize that one of our teammates was already starting to have a little bit of trouble, kept trying to isolate himself.
Yep.
And, again, remember, we were the night before up late. We didn't sleep very long. So you start thinking about, maybe being tired and things like that. And I will tell you, a lot of the teammates, they get very cranky. Um, we normally have to snap them out of it. So we didn't think nothing of it. So we left Randolph and then we went over to, was Jim Jones, right? Church?
We went to Stone Mansion
Stone,
first.
Stone Mansion. Um, And we ended up there, not much going on there at all. Everything felt great. And so, at that point, No, we went to Stone Mansion after Jim Jones. That's right, because we went to Jim Jones, and my
I f-
first
okay.
yeah, because that's where we lost our teammate completely.
You're right. You're right.
Yes. So, um, we're there. When I first walk in, I personally felt like, okay, this is a facade. This is not really a church. This is a shell hiding something. And to get things started, we asked Brittany, because also Brittany is a beautiful singer. And I'm not just saying that because she's my daughter, she really is. Um, had you sing Amazing Grace, correct?
Yes. Yep. I sang it up at the. I don't know what that's called. A pulpit, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A- And then all of a sudden, equipment starts going off again, telling us, keep your eyes open, watch yourself. Something about he's coming. And then we started touring around, which I will tell everybody if you get a chance to go, you should go because, again, just the front end looks like a church. So we're going to the back. Brittany you actually filmed there once, right? And so you were kind of telling us a little bit of what happened when they were there.
Yeah, well, I actually filmed there twice.
Twice. Okay.
Well, I didn't really film with the Ghost Finders. We just, a group of us, after we filmed an episode for the Ghost Finders, we went to Jim Jones and we kind of did our own filming. And that was insane. Like the stuff that happened, I've never experienced. And like where the whole freaking roof was coming down, and we had Patty Negri with us, and she experienced it, and we were panicking. Um, so like we had that happen, and then I filmed again there last year with the new reality guys last November, and we had stuff like chucked at us, and it was weird because we were in the basement, and we know that this object that was chucked at us in the basement we had just seen up on the first floor. So we have no idea how it got there. Yeah, it just I get really affected there. It is really negative. It's just it's bad all around, but like I feel like I have to go there. It's crazy.
Yeah, I can't wait to go back. But we went into the one room that was down in the basement, and something was chucked at us there too. And I guess
Mhm.
they call it like the naughty room or whatever it was used for. And it was really weird because we're all in there and something gets chucked in there. And that's when everybody's like, we're going to leave. But we ended up in another room where it looked like it was a gathering place.
Yeah, and I
And
hate that room. I had
yes,
never I've been there 3 times and I always refused to go in there, and then it was like, well, I'm not sitting out here alone, so I guess I'm going in with everyone else, and it's just like walking into quicksand. It is the worst feeling. I despise that room.
yes. We had one person sitting on like the main chair. It almost looks like the king's chair. And then you had the table with everybody else. Now we had somebody that was brand new to the paranormal with us, and we put on some of the equipment. And she was getting excited and was wanting to talk, and she was going to reach out to her mother and brother. And we had started telling her, you need to ask questions that only they would know. And I'll let you take it from there because it still chokes me up. But when that that person tells us straight up, that's my mother's voice. How in the hell is this possible? You kind of sit back and go, okay, what is screwing with us? Because it was getting weird. The one teammate that I was telling you we were losing already at Randolph end up walking upstairs to what is it, the
The
pews?
pews.
Yeah. And I figured, well, probably just going to go take a nap, maybe just drained, not realizing there was bad things affecting that teammate. But then we have, which the new paranormal person is a teammate now. Um, Brittany, you are guiding that with her. And so some of the questions that you guys were asking were, uh,
Well, it started with one of the other caretakers at Randolph text Melissa and said, "Does 222 mean anything to anybody that you're with?"
yes,
And I'm just going to say her name, Beth, because I think
Yeah.
she's actually listening. Beth is here at my house right now, and she's like, I'm going to listen in the other room. um, she like freaked and she goes, "Oh my gosh, that is my brother and I's number." So mind you, a few years ago, her brother committed suicide, unfortunately. She was very, very close with him, and brand new to the paranormal. So, she's never spoken to spirits, always been interested, but has never been able to do anything like this. So, well, welcome to the show, Beth. So, all of a sudden, as soon as she said that was my brother and I's number, her brother started talking and she just froze. And then she's like started crying and she's like, "That's my brother's voice. He's talking to me, was saying things that only she knew." And then said, "Mike is with me." And Mike was, I guess, her brother's best friend who had recently passed away. And the day that we were there at Jim Jones, that was his funeral, the day of his funeral.
Yes.
And then her mom came through and was like, "Hello, Beth Hope." And she freaked and she's like, "No one ever calls me that but my mother. That was my mother's name." So then all three of them were having a conversation with her, but then it turned really dark really fast. So whatever is in Jim Jones took that goodness and tried to make it dark, and then they were trying to say like, "Oh, they're in hell and they're burning," and I don't remember verbatim, but essentially down that line.
And then as that was going, we started seeing a real tall, dark shadow figure standing in front of the other person that was in the chair. And then now mind you, remember we're in the jail and now we're the next day. Keep your eyes open, watch yourself, need to protect. It started coming over more and more. And again, you're sitting there thinking, okay, I'm going to protect myself. It's all good. But it started becoming something like, okay, what is going on? Because we left that room and went upstairs to this attic place, which was really weird and was getting some weird stuff there. And Brittany, didn't you lay on the floor again?
Yeah, that's kind of my thing. I just like to lay on the floor like I'm a sacrifice to whatever. And you get mad at me every time. You're like, "Stop laying in all these haunted locations. Like you're opening up for it." And I'm like, "Heck yeah, I am." And then I highly regret it. But I still do
Absolutely.
it.
She does do it. But then the voices started coming over again, saying the same stuff on the Ovilus, on everything else. But then it sounded, what was it? It sounded like something got banged or like somebody was breaking in. I mean, it got dark like real quick up there. And again, this is
Yeah,
all
door
during the
slammed
day.
shut. Yeah,
That's
the
what it
door.
was.
I think it was the bathroom door and it was like latched back and we're
Yes.
all upstairs and it just slammed and it like shook the top floor. And then I'm barreling down because that's me, because I'm crazy. And I'm like, "I'm going to protect everybody and I'm going to go knock some people out." And then I was scared and then I was mad because then I was alone. And I'm like, "Where's everybody at?"
Very true. Very true. And again, we seen the other teammate, who is Jake, was laying there, and I thought he was taking a nap. So we all decided we're going to be a little bit more quieter, but continue doing some of the stuff we're doing. So we just started kind of browsing around some of the location, and just trying to see, what we would get. But it kept getting darker and darker. It was talking about, how the evil's going to get us and how this is going to happen. And this
And
is
it kept,
where, go ahead.
sorry, and it kept saying, "He cannot protect you."
Yes.
Excuse me? Excuse me, what?
Yes. And the thing is, this is where it comes to, are we missing some of the signs? Because the first thing we thought of, well, if it's evil, it can't be talking to us. It is another spirit trying to help us. So we're already now navigating to the other side of, okay, we can't believe this because they say that's not true. So we still were a little closed minded at a certain point of, what do we take in? We all knew it was repeating the same stuff, but we were trying to find answers to that in the sense of making up those answers. Oh, it's just the equipment, or oh, it's just this. And that's when we start talking, at what point do we stop trying to be with the narrative that everybody thinks you have to be in the paranormal field? So, with that thought, we'll be right back after this message.
The Onyx Network classes and workshops are enrolling now for 2025. If you're interested in psychic protection, chakra balancing, dowsing, or perhaps healing with sound and music, visit onyxnetwork.com to see our complete series of live and on-demand classes and workshops hosted by the one and only Margie K. For example, in January 2025, you could spend 4 Saturdays with Margie for her exclusive live remote viewing workshop. Margie K is one of the most accomplished remote viewers in the world, and she will share her secrets and totally unique methods in this course. Some courses are open now. Seating is limited for these live courses, so register now at onyxnetwork.com. Onyx members use promo code XMEM for an additional 15% discount.
This is Margie K, and I'd like to say thank you to all of our KUNX show hosts, staff, listeners, and viewers for making us number 1 on Paranormal Talk Radio. Debbie Ziegelmeyer is an experienced diver, dive trainer, and UFO investigator who has researched sites around the world that have water-related UFO activity. We now know that even the Pentagon admits that there are unknown objects in the skies and underwater around the world. Debbie compiled an amazing book to catalog many of these sightings. The Alien Colonization of Earth's Waterways, a reference guide to UFO, USO, water-related activity, has received rave reviews by UFO researchers and the public. The book is available at Amazon.com.
The Onyx Network presents a health and wellness spiritually based brand of hemp-derived CBD products made by Hopewell Farm in Harrogate, Tennessee. We apply our Cathara energy work with all of our plants and products. Our products made in small batches with only 2 ingredients of pure hemp, full-spectrum crude oil, and coconut-derived MCT oil. Third-party lab tested for potency and legal THC levels with 6 strengths of 1 ounce oil to choose from. Know what you're buying and get what you pay for from Hopewell Farm. Applied directly to a specific area, Hopewell Farm topical salve in 1 ounce and ½ ounce sizes made with pure hemp crude oil, comfrey extract, and all natural ingredients. Find the Hopewell Farm link and coupon code on the Onyx Network website at onyxnetwork.com. That's onyxnetwork.com.
And welcome back. We are going to bring in our special guest, Brittney, as we continue to take this little journey together. Before we left for a brief message, I'd asked the question, and you guys can always message me with that stuff. At what point do we stop worrying about what the paranormal narrative is and actually go out there to find those real answers, whether they're right, wrong, or indifferent. So, Brittany, we're at Jim Jones. We were talking about everything that has come across. We stick with some, throw away the other. Now we're in one of the main rooms, and I guess the one chair belonged to him, and we stuck a person there, a male, and then us females sitting there acting like, oh, you are God kind of thing. Kind of walk us through what happened there.
Well, yeah, so we decided to do a little role playing. And so the times that I have been there, alleged Jim Jones has come through, right? And he says his name and he talks to us, makes equipment go crazy, but I'd never done like a role playing thing, which was your idea. So us gals sat up against the wall and, we just kept asking, like, what do we need to do to prove our loyalty to you so we can join you and everyone else? And if you don't know about Jim Jones, he's the cult leader, the Kool-Aid man, so we're all doing this. And then our responses started going insane. And it was weird because Jim Jones, supposedly him coming through, but it was like he was almost scared because something else started coming through. And it kept saying, kill the Jew, kill the Jew. And our friend Beth, who was having all this stuff with her family members, she is Jewish. And at first we had thought, okay, rude. Like, why are you talking to her like that? Like, that's not okay, blah, blah, blah. But I think it'll make more sense with our train of thought as we get further into this. Then we started getting that name that we had heard at Randolph again and again and again. Um, and then I finally said, okay, I need to Google this name. And do you want to take it from there and say who it was? And I can't believe I even found it on Google. I was shocked. I thought it would lead us to a dead end.
Well, yeah, the crazy thing is, so people know, when she went to Google, the our friend Melissa, who was taking us to these places, was sitting in another room and just kind of in the doorway, and she was Googling too. And if I'm correct, the name that came across was Aka. Now, we didn't get Legion, we didn't get so many, we actually got a name, and we're like, what the hell is that? And when Brittany Googled it, if I'm correct, he's one of the 72 demons, which also, if you continue going down that rabbit hole, you'll find out he's actually one of the top 12 out of the 72 demons when it comes to the hierarchy of how demons are lined up. And it was also because it's derivative from the Japanese culture, because he did kill himself in for Satan with a samurai sword, correct?
Yes.
And so this name kept coming across. Now, here's where we're talking about the narrative. It took us back for a minute, but then we're like, wait a minute, that demon's not going to tell us his name. That doesn't work that way. That's not how this goes. So something is messing with us because it just came up with this random name, which ends up being a real thing. And But in between all that is when we started. I mean, so remember, we've been telling you this whole time, we're hearing, watch yourself. He can't protect you. Keep eyes open. Get away, go away, kind of get us out of the way.
And
But
kill
this,
the Jew, which is like huge
yes,
for me.
but the thing was, the way it was coming across now, it was almost like it didn't really need our equipment because it was being so forceful. It was almost like there's a group of spirits and they're like on their edge, and they're getting louder and sterner of, get out, be careful, watch yourself, keep doing this. And so now we're all kind of going, okay, wait a minute, we're going to have to stop and try to put this puzzle piece together. So again, remember the story where we started on Friday night with a 3-year-old kid talking about a demon and how we had to protect ourselves. So we started talking about all that. And as we're talking about that, more of it was coming out. And then we were thinking, okay, where's this going, and kept telling us, it was kind of telling us that even Jesus couldn't help us. And so we were,
Exactly. Yeah, he can't protect you, and a Ka wants to kill the Jew, which then it clicked to me. He's
yes,
talking about Jesus, not Beth.
she just happened to be in the room, and that brought the Jewish out, I guess, right?
Yeah.
So
Leave it to Beth.
leave it to Beth. But okay, so now we have finished here at Jim Jones, and we're all kind of shook up. We end up getting the teammate up. He looked like he just woke up, but he got completely quiet and completely distant, like he wasn't in himself. Like, we left his soul somewhere. And, there's one thing about being hangry and sleepy, but this seemed a little bit more than that. But we couldn't pinpoint it. And the more we talked to him, the more he got agitated towards us, like almost such a hateful way that we wanted to leave him on the side of the road, to be honest.
Well, I'm
Because
pretty sure we told him that
yeah,
because he snapped at me hard and I unleashed.
and he does have moments, but nothing this severe. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So we're kind of like, okay, we're just going to give it a moment. Maybe he's affected and getting away from the location, and we'll kind of do that. Now we're heading towards Stone Mansion, and we're
Yeah.
trying to talk and put all these pieces together. And I happened to look up because it's cloudy, because it was sprinkling a little here and there. And I just looked up and I'm like, you're not going to believe what I see. Now, Beth was in the vehicle. Jake wasn't paying attention, but you were driving. The sky opened up like this hole. And inside that hole was this figure which looked like it had big wings.
Yeah, it was insane. And we tried to take pictures of it and our phone, like your phone, nobody's phone could
No, it
capture
froze.
it. It
Nope.
kept going black and fuzzy on our phone, which is weird. It was like it was something specifically for us, but it looked like a guardian angel in the clouds. Like, and it wasn't, how people look at clouds and they can make out figures here and they're like, oh, it's a dog, it's an airplane, like,
No.
no, it was solid, solid. And there was the only rays of sunshine was through that hole with this angel, and
Yes.
it wouldn't allow us to take pictures of it. I can't even explain it. I don't
No.
even know. Like it hurts my brain,
Well, mine too. I keep wondering what was in the coffee, you know?
right?
'Cause
Freaking Gordon probably gave us some drugs and we were just tripping the whole day.
well, that was some really wild tripping, I will tell you that. And then it just disappeared. It's not like the clouds came and closed up. It was just like all of a sudden it was completely gone, like it never existed. And so this is when we go to Stone Mansion. And again, this is where Jake is even past that I even said, "Hey, I'm willing to pay for a hotel. Let us drop you off and you just be done and we'll just grab you in the morning. Let me know." And then it was like nothing. It was like an empty shell. So here's where it gets really strange. We're now going to the Monroe House. And everybody knows the story about Monroe House. There's more questions than there are answers. But let me take you back real quick. That Friday night, every time myself and Brittany sat on the stair or Beth came out, you'd look down because the jail and the Monroe House are about a block away, not even that. And we kept seeing a big shadow person, full figured male, walking out to that sidewalk like it was looking at us and then go back in. And we
Yep.
were pointing that out Friday night. So we're like, okay, with the way this day is going, we need to be prepared for the night. Oh, I don't think any preparation would have had us ready for that night. So now we're at the Monroe House. We have our guests show up. We're trying to do some of our stuff. Now, we had a couple of guests with us that always go off on their own. They do their own pictures. They're just kind of like one of our regulars. You go do what you need to do. You don't have to do the vigil, stuff like that. They chose not to be alone. And it was like, okay, We got problems. So now take us in Monroe House when we're upstairs.
Well, I mean, before we even do that, like all hell's already breaking loose.
Yeah, it is
So
to a
it is.
point.
And no, I mean, and if you know about the Monroe House, like I don't even have words for the Monroe House. And it's one of my all-time favorite locations. Like you will always get activity there, but it's not good activity. So like you need to be prepared.
Correct.
But see, I like that kind of stuff. I don't like the normal narrative, paranormal narrative. It's all love and light and Caspers. Like, no, because there's two sides. There's always
Correct.
two sides. So I like to get answers from both. And so I like to submerge myself in that. And yeah, so we started upstairs. And so Jake, our teammate, we've ended up feeding him and he
Yes, and
started to come alive a little bit.
that's true. But we did start in the basement first before we went upstairs with Jesse and all them.
Yeah, well, no, we started with the tarot reading up on
Oh,
in the
that's
Ouija
right.
room.
That's right.
So once Jake got over whatever was taking over him, and he was super hangry, like he was back to normal Jake, thank God. And love you, Jake. So he's my all-time favorite tarot reader. Um, he's incredible. So any location we go to, we always have him do a 3-card pool to kind of tell us, what can we expect for the night at this location. And so we got this 3-card reading, and so that's all in the back of our heads. And we're like, holy shit. Can I say that on here? Sorry.
Yep, go right ahead.
Okay. And so, we thought it was somebody and something else completely. And it
Yes.
turned out to be not that at all in the end. And then it all made sense. So we got this reading, and then we all go downstairs to the basement. Um, And I had been there previously because I filmed with the new reality there. But the time before that, I actually got bit. Um, so the basement is a very scary place for me. I got bit. I have the picture, the mark, like all on camera. It was insane. So we go downstairs and go ahead, mom. It freaks me out. Oh, we let those guys come that met us with the
Yes.
child.
Yes, we let them come. They didn't stay long and they ran pretty quickly. But
Yeah, they were terrified.
so we're down in the basement and we've got somebody in the Estes method in this, it's like a little tunnel thing. And Beth did it first, and then we actually put another friend of ours in there. And something kept messing with me, and I'm like, you know what? I'm tired of these same old questions. I'm going to push the button. But I didn't tell anybody because I wanted it just to keep going. So all I kept doing was saying, what year is it? I was saying this so much that even Brittany's like, Mom, what are you doing? And I just said, just go with me.
Well, at that point, I thought maybe you had lost it. I'm like, is she even here? Like,
Yeah.
are you
That,
okay? Like, do you need to leave? Because you said it like 15 times at that point, and I'm like, okay.
but here is where the scary part is. Why I'm doing that, I'm hearing like almost like a hoof hitting the concrete, scraping it. Whoosh. And then I'd hear like a growl. And so I kept saying it again. And then you could hear it almost sounded like, you know how the bulls do it when bullfighting, where they take that one foot and they're scraping before they charge. And was doing that, but I was hearing these weird growls. Now, in the same time, I know something's behind me and something's starting to wrap around my legs. And I'm like, be brave, because my first instinct was get the hell out. So we kind of pushed that limit because I'm like, something is trying to show itself. So it showed itself. Um, but to break it up, it automatically started saying rape and knew that was a trigger for the person that's under Estes. So we had to stop everything at that point. But in the meantime, a person who's not part of the paranormal had looked over and said, Michelle, do you know you've got this crazy black shadow trying to wrap around you like this weird snake? And I'm like, yep. And I'm still standing there going, please don't squeeze really hard because I might break. But then Brittany was seeing some things. But we went outside. I am trying to explain what I seen. And I don't remember, was it you, Brittany, or was it Melissa who looked up, typed in what I was seeing and end up showing it? And it had something to do because guess who was constantly coming across? A car again.
Yep, kept saying Aka was the one that was affecting us all and that pretty much we're all gonna die. Aka's taking all of our souls and
Yep.
just pleasant things he was saying or it was
Especially
saying.
eating pizza and you're going to take our soul, might
Yeah,
as well,
listen, let
right?
me live my life, okay?
But we go back down to the basement. Now, here is the really creepiest thing. So, me and Brittany are doing our stuff. I'm sitting in front of the tunnel, not inside. And I end up feeling this rush about to come. And I think something is about to just grab me, like you see in the movies where it grabs your feet and then just pulls you. I jump out of the chair. Of course, I scare Brittany and the other people there, but I had to move that quick. Not realizing that exact moment, Jake was upstairs with another group, and he was watching this lady come up to keep touching the REM pod. And as he was explaining her, she was sucked backwards and down to the basement. At the same time, I went jumping like it real fast. And so he came by the basement stairs to ask if we're okay.
Yeah, we were really confused. We were like, yeah, we're okay. It's just terrifying down here because there was just four of us girls down there.
Yes. Then you put Melissa there, and she has her moments there, but then Jesse comes down. And this is where I want to get into the story before we run out of time. We put Jesse. Now, Jesse's one of those night guys, stealthy. You don't ever know when he's going to show up. He just pops up anywhere and walks everywhere in the dark. Doesn't care.
He's not scared of anything. He's really not.
And then he's sitting in the chair and he kept going, I'm getting colder. Something doesn't feel right. I'm getting colder. And we noticed it. And he was getting a little, you know, I don't know how to explain it, but his personality changed a little.
Yeah.
So we end up leaving the basement because something was down there and something was telling you, Brittany, they can't protect anything. We kept hearing something in the ground. It's underneath, things like
And we
that. And
were
then it,
still hearing the hooves
yes.
with us down there. And then all of a sudden you were like starting to channel something and I'm freaking out because you're like contorting your body and I'm like, what the hell is happening? And you're like, I'm trying to take it in. And that's when I got mad at you because I'm like, you can't take on a demon like that. I'm panicking, but you didn't mean it that way. But that's,
Yeah.
in that moment. And so I like pretty much scooped you up and ran you outside. And I was so mad at you. And so
And that's
as I'm
because I
like,
said the wrong words and I didn't mean to say those words. It was just in the moment.
yeah, I know now, but as I'm like
Yeah.
berating you in front of everyone and like grounding my own mother, sitting you in timeout for the rest of the night, Melissa's like shaking and she gives me her phone because you're now at this point, because the people with us did not know what was happening and what we've all endured that day. We
No.
didn't want to tell them. Well, they got a lesson. They learned something because you're explaining exactly what you're seeing. All of a sudden, Melissa's shaking and she hands me her phone and she goes, I can't read this. You need to read this out loud. So now everyone's freaking panicked, right? All of our guests, big wide eyes, drained of blood, white. And exactly what you said, it was exactly what a cause image, that's how he's depicted.
Yeah.
And I looked at you because then my skeptical brain went and I'm like, give me your phone. I want to see what you've been searching. And knowing damn well that you've been with me 24/7, you have not been on your phone.
Nope.
But in my paranormal
Yeah.
mind, I'm like, no, I need to see your phone, show me your search history, everything. Literally, I mean, there was nothing there. And you saw this thing, knew exactly what it looked like. Okay, so now our guests are effed, right? Spiritually, emotionally, and mentally. And we're like, hey, welcome to Riverside. I have a paranormal.
It's time to
And
go to the attic.
yeah, welcome to the party. Glad you could join us. Um, So everyone's freaking out. And so then we're like, okay, cool, let's go do another experiment. So then we had split up because we found out that there was something with that 222 that happened in Jim Jones, which was that link to Beth and her brother. So we all split up in twos upstairs in different rooms. And that's where Jesse got rocked. And Jesse's not scared of anything.
Well, and here's the thing, because when we're talking about demons, like I said, we've been getting a Ka, but you were getting Legion, many, and we kind of chuckled at that, like, okay, here we go.
Yeah,
But
7
when,
Legion army, 7 Legion
yes,
demons,
yes, and
king
that's
or prince. He's a prince.
a prince, and we kind of did that, but now we're all in different rooms. We all are using something different as, our
Equipment
equipment.
wise.
But everything was coming across all the equipment. Next thing I know, Jesse jumps out of his room over to us, and Brittany got on her thing. She goes, "Nothing's happening in here." And then all of a sudden it says, "Scratch him." He had 7 scratch marks that actually were bleeding. And we're all
Yes.
just going, okay. Now, mind you, the whole time I'm in the one kitchen area looking at that window, seeing this creepy thing constantly licking the window. And we had a tripwire, and I'm like, "It's coming around the corner. I'm telling you, it's coming around the corner." And everybody's like, "What?" And I was like, 3, 2, 1. And then all the lights start going up. And Brittany's like, "What the F?" I was like, "It's here." And then all of a sudden, a penny drops out of nowhere on the floor.
Which I knew that was for me, those
Yes.
suckers, because the night I got bit, it kept saying over our obelisk, which didn't make sense. Oh, I think it said nickel basement
Yeah.
pickup, blah blah blah. And then like later on the night, I went down and I shined my light and I found a nickel and I put it in my pocket. And then all hell broke loose. Kept telling me it was gonna rape me, bite me, like all these things. And then it happened, right? Well, the bite. Um, and then I had been talking about that with the other guests because they want to know experiences. I swear this penny came out of nowhere. It like fell through the freaking roof in front of all of us at this point because we're checking Jesse's bloody 7 scratches. This penny literally forms and just drops in front of us. And I
Yes.
said, I'm going to pick it up. And then you hear a physical, gravelly, like laugh, like it was
Yeah.
testing me. And I said, okay, F and bring it on because I'm dumb sometimes. Well, I picked it up and put it in my pocket. And I was like, okay, let's see what happens. Terrible idea.
Yeah, like I said, it got bad. But the crazy thing out of all of it is you finally put that penny down. And
Mhm.
over every freaking one of our stuff, it said, "Oh, thank you," like a sigh of relief. And
Yeah, because
that's
I
when
learned.
everything was like coming in full force at us. Like, that was the one, that I'm sitting here thinking, "Oh my God, is this you're protected, keep your eyes open," and everything else. But let me tell you, Jesse, when that happened to him, he was frozen in time. And trying to get him downstairs, he didn't even want to go down the stairs because he didn't know what to do because he had the 6 scratches at first, 3 and 3, but then it said, "Nope, scratch again, 7," and right in the middle of the stomach, and it happened right in
We
front of
watched
us.
it. Yeah,
Yeah,
literally watched it form on his
I
skin with blood,
I
and I about died.
I'm like, "We're in a freaking crazy movie." So mind you guys, the reason I wanted to bring Brittany on is because this experience, we're still trying to figure it out. And of course, we never learn from the first time. So we're going to end up redoing this whole trip because I want to see if it happens again. And every location we've been since that, it always says a cause here.
Yeah,
And
he
I'm like,
follows us everywhere.
now, this is when I'm going, Brittany, Beth, is it a spirit that is really screwing with us? Did someone have something coming? And that's where we're with the questions. Are we not paying attention? And do demons really talk to us and we just shove it off to the side because, again, it doesn't fit the social narrative, you know? Um, but I want to have Brittany back on because there's more to the story. This is a two-parter for sure, but we're almost out of time. But I want Brittany. We have been scrolling about your haunted heroines calendar. I know this is dear to your heart that you put together. Can you tell everybody a little bit about why you did it, where the proceeds are going, and everybody can see the link on the bottom to get it?
Absolutely. So yes, this is something that I've had wanted to do for a while. Anything that I try to put together, I always want to give to a charity. And being a combat army veteran, I served in Iraq, and so I have lost a ton of people due to war and to the war in our minds, to PTSD. And so giving back to veteran suicide, our 22 a day, means everything to me. So with this calendar, I pulled together, 12 amazingly, or 11, amazing, strong, beautiful women, badasses in the paranormal. And so when you purchase this calendar, everything that goes, all the money that we collect, all those proceeds go to stop soldier suicide. Um, I think I have lost nearly everyone that I went to war with, at this point. I don't have very many people left, unfortunately. So I try to do everything that I possibly can. So it would mean the world to me. And also, Mr. Jeff Fent, if you are in the field, you probably know him. He builds incredible ghost boxes from wood and stuff from haunted locations. And he built a one of a kind stop soldier suicide ghost box from Penhurst Asylum wood. And it has the 22 symbol in the middle with the ribbon for soldier suicide. And on December 16th, we will be doing a drawing to see who wins that. So if you purchase one of the calendars, I think the link will be here.
Yes, the link is on here.
Awesome. Yep. So if you go there and purchase that, then your name is automatically put into the drawing and you have a chance to win that one of a kind ghost box.
Thank you so much for that. Again, guys, there'll be a second part because we're still trying to figure out everything that's gone on here. We'll be going back to the Monroe House, to the jail, and all those places in Indiana to see if this can be relived or what it will do the next time. But before we leave, always think about it. Sometimes we have to tell the truth and the real truths and not worry about what is out there in the public. Always be true to yourself. And till next time, I thank you for your support, and I will see you in the dark.